and I'm live. How's it going? To answer all your first questions, no, I'm not going to live stream the debate. Apparently, there were some YouTubers that live streamed the debate last night, like had the stream on screen as well as their commentary, and they got copyright strikes and can now not live stream for the next 3 months. So no, I'm not going to be live streaming, but I am going to live stream my predictions right now, and then I'm going to get off before the debate starts. So if you want me to answer any of your questions, I'm only going to take super chat questions since I'm kind of low on time here. So that's for people on YouTube. For people on Twitch, I'm sorry, I'm not taking your questions today, but I am streaming on Twitch, so that's something. But let's get to it. So before I get to anything else, let's put up the screen right here. So this is who's going to be on stage today, and also in this order. So you got author and speaker Marianne Williamson, former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper, entrepreneur Andrew Yang, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, former Vice President Joe Biden, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, California Senator Kamala Harris, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, and California Representative Eric Swalwell. So, what's going to happen tonight? Last night, actually, I put out like 4 videos today, which is not normal for me. So I've been working since I woke up, and I'm still working. But I actually have a breakdown video of last night's debate going up soon. But this debate, looking at who's going to be on stage, I think this debate is going to sound a little less progressive than yesterday's debate did. So I think having Warren up there and having de Blasio up there attacking other people for not being progressive swung the debate to more to the progressive or the left-wing direction than we would otherwise expect. In this debate, you really only got Bernie and Marianne Williamson up there that are actually progressive on the issues. Andrew Yang is sort of, depending on the issue, he's more libertarian. Let's just be honest. So I don't really put him in the same camp. So I do think this is going to sound like a more moderate debate than the other ones. But let me actually go person by person here. So I put this into 3 different categories. So I put losers, people that will maintain how they're doing right now, and the winners category. So let's first start with the losers. So when it comes to the losers, I think the obvious loser, I could be wrong, but I think the biggest loser, the biggest obvious loser out of this debate is going to be John Hickenlooper. John Hickenlooper, whenever I see him on stage, whenever I see him in an interview, he's just horrible. I can't imagine anybody liking him, even if you're not progressive or whatever. If you like John Hickenlooper's positions, then you're going to support Joe Biden. So I don't know why John Hickenlooper is in this race. I think I think Hickenlooper's going to have a stupid moment where we're going to look back and be able to clip a moment where John Hickenlooper said something really dumb. I think that's going to happen. Let's go next to Michael Bennet. Who? Exactly. Why? Why is Michael Bennet in this race? I think he's going to be a loser here because he's going to have nothing to offer. He's going to be totally forgettable. Michael Bennet will be a loser simply because he will be super boring. Eric Swalwell, similar to Michael Bennet in terms of the reaction I think he'll get. I think he'll be overall forgettable. Eric Swalwell will mention something about having to work with Republicans. He's mentioned in the past how he wants to have a mixed cabinet of Republicans and Democrats, and we're all working together. Yeah, okay, that's not at all how Congress currently is. The Republican Party is completely insane. So I think that's going to fall flat. I think he'll fall flat. Eric Swalwell, I don't think will have a great night. And the last loser here, Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden is going to seem noticeably out of touch. And not even just that, I don't think his performance is going to be strong. I think Joe Biden will come off like he has aged. He'll come off like he is just not in it, and he's lost touch. So I think Biden will also have a stupid moment like John Hickenlooper will. Many stupid moments, very likely. So when it comes to Joe Biden, I think he's going to lose for everybody. I think progressives will notice Joe Biden is horrible. I also think the general public will notice Joe Biden did not do well. And I think this is going to be the beginning of Joe Biden's fall from the polls. Next category, the people that will maintain. So in this section, I have Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris will play the role of a moderate as a progressive. So the way I'm framing this is how I think the general public will react. So while I may not like Kamala Harris, that doesn't mean the general public won't still enjoy her to some extent. So I don't think she's going to be a winner here, but I think she'll be able to maintain what she's done so far. Pete Buttigieg, same thing. Again, I don't like Pete Buttigieg, but the media loves him. Even if Pete Buttigieg has a bad night, I don't think the media will admit it. And I think because of that, that will help him. So I think Pete Buttigieg will continue to be able to maintain what he's been doing. I don't think he's going to go up or down too much. The next one that I think will maintain is Kirsten Gillibrand. So Kirsten Gillibrand, I think she'll actually be a surprise in the sense that she won't be a loser here. I think, otherwise I would say that she'd come out of this as a loser. But I think she'll be able to have a couple good moments that will allow her to maybe experience a little more attention than she has been so far. So I think in that sense, maybe you could look at Gillibrand as a winner here, simply from where the starting point that she's at. But essentially, she'll be able to gain a little support, but then maintain. So I don't think she's going to have a huge, amazing showing, but I do think that she will connect better than she has been up to this point. Last category, the winners. Now, by subtracting who I haven't mentioned so far, you can kind of pick out who I think the winners are. But let's start with the obvious here, Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders is going to be the standout. He is the OG. He's the dude that started this all. His answers in 2016, or his platform in 2016, is what everybody is now adopting. I mean, his answer in 2016 when he said the biggest threat is climate change, people laughed at him. Last night, you saw a number of candidates say that climate change is the biggest threat. Bernie is always a leader on all of these issues. He will continue to be the leader here. He'll stand out because of his political revolution, because he has an actual way to push his policies, his bills forward and pass them once he becomes president through outside pressure on Congress. So that also makes him stand out here out of all of these candidates. Bernie, going to be a big winner here. Next winner, Andrew Yang. So Andrew Yang, I think, even though I'm not a huge fan of Andrew Yang, I think he will win here simply because he will be the businessman standout. So people will see Andrew Yang as sort of the one guy on stage that isn't a politician. And I think simply by that factor, that will help him. So Andrew Yang's going to be a winner here, as well his UBI position. So that's also a unique position to take. I think that will help him stand out as well, even though, again, the implementation of the UBI sounds a little more libertarian than I would like. But that said, they are unique positions considering who else is on stage. The last winner here, and this is one that is a risk because I could be completely off, but I'm taking the chance, and I'm going to say that Marianne Williamson will have a strong showing, and she'll be a winner coming out of this debate. And that's because she will be empathetic, she'll be solidly progressive on the issues. And the only question mark that I have about Marianne Williamson, because I've seen her in other interviews, is her performance. So the quality of her performance. Will she come off as natural and comfortable, or will she seem like she's nervous and uncomfortable on stage? That's going to be the factor with Marianne Williamson. I think if she's able to be confident and really understand who she is and be able to communicate that, I think she'll do great. If she wavers and is a little nervous, a little scared, has some anxiety, then that's going to hurt her. But because of her solid positions and just the fact that she is a good person, I think if she's able to communicate that, that will carry her through. So there you go. Those are my predictions for night one. I'm going to take some super chats now. I'm going to mostly So I should have said this earlier. I would like the super chats to mostly focus on the debates or the race, but if not, that's fine too. But now I actually have to find where the super chats are because these are always buried. If there are super chats at all, because if there's no super chats, well then I'm getting out of here a lot earlier. And I don't think there's super chats. But let me. All right. Well, in that case, I will take some chats from the general public. If I can mute myself. I also want to get your predictions as well. So if you have some ideas on what you think may happen in this debate, again, I'm focusing more on the debates for these questions, then I will read that out. But let me go a little here. Here's a super chat from James Heyman or Hammond. If you could give Bernie any tips, what would they be? That's a good question. I mean, he needs to be able to set himself apart. So he needs to focus on how he would get what he wants to get done. He needs to focus on the outside pressure, building a political revolution. I mean, he's been doing that, but I think he really needs to hit that home. He also has to separate himself from Joe Biden. So there are a lot of people, this may shock you, but it's true. There are people that will move from Biden to Bernie because a lot of people that aren't all that educated on these issues will see both of them as these working class people without really knowing Joe Biden's history. So if Bernie can clearly point out Joe Biden voted for the Iraq War, I voted against it. I mean, go Wall Street regulation. Like, Bernie has to attach Biden to big donors, credit card companies, and Wall Street. If he can do that and have the votes to showcase that, their history between each other, then I think he's going to do great. So he has to be able to separate himself from Joe Biden. That would be my biggest tip for Bernie in this debate. And also just be honest with who you are. I mean, he has a long history. You can look it up. So if all he has to do is really showcase his past history on these issues, him being a leader on these various issues, the bills that he's voted for, the issues that he supported, the issues that he fought against, all of it. So this is what has to happen. If more and more people are completely aware of who Bernie Sanders is and who he's been the entire time, I think he will gain the support that he needs in order to win and be able to separate himself from the rest of the pack, as well as selling people on how he will actually pass what he wants to get passed. All right, more super chats. All right, now there's a bunch. This is from Just Somebody. What's up with Mike Gravel? What's his game plan? He's not on the debate stage. So they're still angling to get into the next set of debates. I think they're in July, the end of July. So I think that's still possible. I think Mike Gravel can still potentially get on the debate stage if he gets the amount of donations that he needs. But it's also going to be tough. I mean, when you have the debates already starting, it's hard to get in now if you're not already in the discussion. So I'm not too sure, but we're going to see what happens with Mike Gravel. This from Santez Henderson. Love your channel, man. Thank you so much. This from Joey Perp. Bernie doesn't stand a chance if he doesn't bust out the Spanish. Yeah, that's one thing you won't get with Bernie are the gimmicks. I mean, Bernie's going to be Bernie. That's the other thing. Bernie just has to be himself. Be yourself, but also understand how to communicate who you are. And don't be afraid to put your record up against everybody else. Don't be afraid to talk yourself up. Because Bernie is so humble, that's his biggest downfall, is that he's oftentimes too afraid to actually attack others. But I think if he's just, he has to do it with real vigor and enthusiasm when he's going after Joe Biden, again, on the policy issues, on their histories. So if he can do that and do it with real emotion, show some fight, I think that will absolutely help Bernie Sanders. The Plan B pill. What do you think Biden will get hit the hardest on tonight? Mm, good question. Um, I mean, it depends who it's from. So if we're talking about Bernie, I think Biden will get hit hard on trade, will get hit hard on foreign policy when it comes to the Iraq War, will get hit hard on Wall Street. When it comes to everybody else and maybe even the questions, I think Biden on race issues will and should be hit hard on that. So this is like I just can't envision a scenario where Biden comes out of this looking good. He's been horrible so far. Him on stage for 2 hours and him being the leader and other candidates going after him, I don't see Biden holding up. But I don't know. Maybe if they shoot him with some steroids or something, I don't know. Like I just can't. I can't imagine Biden doing well. This from Tyrant Lizard. I hope Bernie will have the balls to take on Joe Biden and not be such a softie. Do you think he will do that? So yeah, I've been kind of talking about this. I think he'll hit him. My worry is Bernie won't be as rhetorically strong as he could be. He won't be as energized about it as he could be. I think Bernie will almost be calm and cool when comparing his record to Joe Biden's and try not to come off as, an angry dude. But in some ways, I think he should. I think he should really, feel what other people feel in terms of the change that people want and communicate that through the television. So if Bernie can do that and also do it, as you said, with Joe Biden, I think he'll do a fantastic job. All right, I'll see if there's more. I do want to get off soon because I've been working all day. I want to start sitting down and prepping for this debate, but I got some more super chats. Eduardo Vasco. Elizabeth Warren said she had the courage to fight against the big banks, but she didn't have the guts to endorse Bernie. She's on our team, but not our follower. I would say she's not our leader, but she is a follower. But yeah, I mean, you're right. That's the one solid critique. I mean, there's a few good critiques of Warren, but that's the one solid critique, is that you can question her ability to actually fight for what she's currently fighting for in her platform. I mean, when faced with the powers that will be fighting back against her, whether it's corporate power, whether it's just the status quo, the Democratic Party, the Democratic leadership, I can see her wavering in the face of that pressure. And it's because she has shown an inability to fight politically before, as is the case with Bernie Sanders. Again, I've also explained why I think she did what she did back then. I think she thought, like a lot of people did, that, well, Hillary's going to win. So Elizabeth Warren's angle was there may as well be at least one progressive in Hillary's ear. So she tried not to offend Hillary by not endorsing Bernie. But that said, if she had endorsed Bernie, I don't want to replay all 2016, but if Warren had endorsed Bernie early on, I think there's a good chance Bernie would have won that primary just based on that, because it would have changed the entire conversation, especially in the mainstream press. Kenny Raymond. What are the chances Kamala has a breakout performance? I agree. I think Yang's jokes will hit well, and he will move into the top 6 in the next. His jokes? Is Yang cracking jokes? Will hit well, and he will move into the top 6 in the next poll. Chances of Kamala having a breakout performance. I don't think she has it in her. Like I said earlier, I think Kamala Harris will be able to maintain what she has going so far, but I don't think she hasn't shown an ability to really stand out, because I think she comes off phony when she's trying to be progressive. I mean, look, she's given some good answers on Medicare for all. I know she did it in a town hall and some other interviews. So she may come off great on that answer. But I mean, largely when I see her, it seems like she's trying to play a character and she's not really being herself. If she was able to really own herself and also own her mistakes, talk about her mistakes in her history and how she regrets locking up parents of truant kids. I mean, don't defend that. Talk about how it was horrible, how I shouldn't have been looking at this issue as a way to punish people. I shouldn't have dealt with this issue at all in my position. But so far, she's been defending her history, and I think that's the wrong way to do this. Nicholas Retson. Joe Budden who is a rapper, I'm pretty sure, started an African American museum. He's also a great rapper. Cool. I didn't know about that, but thank you for sharing. Actually, I know my cousin's actually a huge fan of Joe Budden. Johnny Lara, what can Sanders say to separate himself? What he's been saying. I think, see, usually when Sanders is talked about or interviewed, it's by himself. But him on stage with all these other people that are not like him, I think he's going to stand out a lot more than maybe he has been in the conversation. He'll also be getting a lot more attention than he has been in the mainstream press, which by itself will help. I mean, it's even Mehdi Hassan, who is a contributor for MSNBC, I think. Actually, he's also on CNN. Put out a tweet today. And look, Mehdi Hassan can be progressive and has been progressive on issues, or, you know, a lefty on issues. But he's also sort of moderate in some ways. But even he said on Twitter, whether you support Bernie or not, you have to admit the mainstream press has not been treating him fairly. It's just fact. I mean, this is a guy who clearly has the biggest volunteer base, clearly has the most grassroots support, and has not been getting the attention that he deserves for doing that. If any other candidate had the grassroots support, volunteer base, and donor base that Bernie Sanders has, they would be getting wall-to-wall coverage. But because it's Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders challenges the actual system, then that scares them. That scares the mainstream press for obvious reasons, because Bernie's challenging their power. So he's not covered properly. But yeah, Sanders can separate himself just by being himself, but also I think talking about money in politics and talking about how he isn't holding private fundraisers. I mean, he has to mention that, not just about, you know, the PAC money and super PACs, but also mention private fundraisers, how he is not holding private fundraisers. And I'm glad you brought this up. Mention how Joe Biden is, and that's all Joe Biden's been doing. Maybe even go as far as saying, I forget what weekend it was now, but there was a weekend where all these candidates were in Iowa, or they were attending some event, and Joe Biden was one of the only candidates not there, and it's because he was at a private fundraiser with big donors. Bring that up. If you bring that up, it showcases to people, it tells them who Biden works for. So you communicate that, you communicate the differences in the support base, who is funding Biden compared to Bernie. That's going to stick with people, because people know that politicians are bought. And if they can finally see Joe Biden as a typical politician and that his working class, you know, persona is just completely phony, then Biden will shed support, and a lot of that support will go to Bernie Sanders. All right, let me check if there's any more. There is more. Okay, I'm going to keep going until I refresh one more time, or until I refresh and there's no more super chats, just so people know. That's my limit here. Banana Head. Can Sanders succeed when Warren is polling well? Yes. But let's be honest, they're sharing some support here. So if Warren wasn't in the race, Sanders would have a lot more support than he currently has. But I do think there is room for both of them. I also think there is a total potential of this race coming between Bernie and Warren. I think that can happen, because there is enough progressive support. I mean, you see, look at the polling. You add Bernie and Warren's numbers together, the progressive vote together, by far they beat anybody else in the race. So that said, I do think Sanders can still succeed, because he is, I mean, he's the original dude. He's been the leader on all these issues. He fought for all the stuff in 2016. He's the one building the political revolution. People are coming to his positions. If he can communicate that, people realize that they can actually trust him when it comes to fighting for these policies. Jeremy sent me a super chat, but no message. Thank you, Jeremy. Peter Wilkins, keep up the good work, man. Thank you. Thanks for your $10. That's a big donation. I'm bad at words. The 212s. It's all one word, so it's hard to read. The 212s. Hey, David, do you think Bernie will climb to the top of the polls after his debate performance tonight? P.S. You are drop dead gorgeous. Much love. Well, thank you so much. Do I think Bernie will climb to the top of the polls? Not yet. I think this is going to begin his rise up. So I think Biden's going to drop a little bit. Actually, there was a recent Emerson poll. I think Bernie now is only 7 points behind Joe Biden, at least in that Emerson poll. And that's a gap that's being closed. So Biden used to be ahead by a lot more. So I think that's going to continue after tonight. I don't necessarily know if Bernie will shoot up immediately after this debate to the top, but I think he's going to be coming a lot closer than he has been to Biden so far. All right. Another refresh. Let's see how far we can take this. No more. Okay, one more refresh just in case. All right. I believe that is it. Cool. I can now get ready for the debate, which I am not streaming, as I said earlier, because some YouTubers, if you missed earlier, some YouTubers streamed the debate last night, and they apparently got copyright strikes and now can't stream for 3 months. So I'm not going to be streaming the debate, but I will be on Twitter. Follow me right there, wherever my finger is right now. There, at David Dole on Twitter. I'll be live tweeting the debate. So do that. And also, if you want to support the channel, go to patreon.com/therationalnational. And if you're not already, subscribe or follow me on Twitch and on YouTube. And also, if you're on YouTube, hit the bell. So there's a bell underneath the screen somewhere. Hit that bell. You'll be notified whenever I go live or whenever a video goes up. And on top of that, right after I get off this stream, I am posting my summary to last night's debate, telling you who I thought won, who I thought lost, who I think is going to maintain their status so far. So check that out right after this stream concludes. So now I'm going to have to find out how to stop my stream while everybody watches me. And make sure there's no more super chats, just in case. Okay. I'm about to go. Almost. See, this is what I normally do. Now I have it. What I normally do is I end my stream in Wirecast, and then it cuts off early for people on YouTube. So I'm going to try to stop doing that. So I'm going to end the stream right now on YouTube and then end it all together. All right. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.